This is 4,000 acres of mirrors. As you drive south away from Las Vegas, you come across enormous shining towers. But the amazing fact is that the towers are actually pitch black in color, and the light is shining up from the ground, because this site is a $2.2 billion solar energy field. And so how does concentrated solar power work? I think that you guys, the ultimate goal of concentrated solar power is to drive a turbine. The sun hits mirrors that then reflect to a special material and heat it up, and that material boils water, and then the steam drives a turbine that creates electricity. And we took a look at this process during a tour of the Mojave Solar Project, using mirrors to concentrate solar lights.
On the other end in the dark gray building is where where the steam turbine is. That's the high pressure turbine there, and that's the exhaust of that turbine.
So after we went to the turbine room, I think he asked, like, do we want to go to the top? And before anyone could say, but a couple things that we could see was out to the towers where the electricity, a single plant like this can power over 200,000 homes. We're talking saving hundreds of thousands of tons of CO2 emissions every year. So going backwards, so we've got turbine and we want to go to steam. So where the steam is created is where the material, the hot material, is coming in and creating steam.
Actually in natural circulation. So the bottom part, is where you're boiling the water's going up, and you have the steam drum on the top is dripping back down and creating a natural circulation loop. So it's really cool stuff.
Again, this plant works differently than the solar towers near Vegas. Instead of a big tower, the light is being reflected at glass tubes near the mirror. So there's these tubes that carry a synthetic oil. That oil gets up to about 400 degrees Celsius. It's just continually flowing in a circle around the entire power plant. The tubes carrying the heat transfer fluid right up where the mirrors were.
It's going to grow maybe half a meter when it goes from cold to hot.
The mirrors themselves are parabolic, and they track the sun focused up to the tubes running across the center at the focal point of the mirrors.
We have 282 kilometers of this tube, right? So from here, if you lined them all up in a row, you can go to Vegas.
Not every plant uses synthetic oil though. In some of the solar towers, the heat transfer fluid is molten salt. In some of the towers, the light directly heats the water to create steam. And there are newer plants looking at other materials like sand. We're gonna get to that in a minute. So why don't we see more of these sites? Photovoltaics are very cheap. Also, there's a limited number of contracts. And at this site, they told us they've done that, where they've turned down the turbine because if they produce more electricity than they're contracted to, I was really curious about what the future is going to look like. So I reached out to Cliff Ho, who's a scientist at Sandia National Labs, who is one of the lead researchers in concentrated solar power.
The synthetic oils, parabolic troughs, about 400 degrees Celsius. Power tower, the towers with molten salt, about 600 degrees Celsius. And right now with our particles, we can get over 1,000 degrees Celsius.
By using these particles that look like sand, they're falling particles, like a waterfall of sand, and then the sun is all concentrated up to that sand, heats that up directly, and then the sand is brought back up on an elevator. And that's like the innovation. Because renewables are intermittent. The sun only shines during the day, and the wind doesn't blow all the time. And since our grid is on demand, then you need storage for the other times.
So the existing systems, today, there's nearly 30 gigawatt hours of storage globally with the CSP systems that currently exist.
It takes some time for the stuff to cool down. You can just store heat in the sand or in the molten salt and then use it at nighttime. And actually, Atlantica, the company that owns the Mojave Solar Project, owns another site that already incorporates storage.